Hey there, everybody. Welcome to the channel. Welcome back to the channel. For my subscribers and members, especially, thank you so very much for supporting the work. Yeah, man, I can't wait to get into this one today and go to some cards, you all. I woke up to the news, as I'm sure many of you did today, that the Nobel Peace Prize was in fact awarded to Venezuelan opposition leader, fighting for democratic rights. Her name is Maria Corina Machado. So Cankles is fit to be tied. Not only did he not get the Nobel Peace Prize, which he's been lobbying for now for the greater part of this year, but he lost out to a Latina from Venezuela, thinking about, what's been happening, the attacks on those boats, etc. So he is just beside himself. I mean, of all the people that prize could have been awarded to, and they chose a woman, a Latina woman, and the fact that she's from Venezuela, fighting for democracy, right? Apparently in hiding. I wasn't familiar with her. I looked her up this morning before I started taping, and apparently she's been in hiding for the past year because of her stance and because of the work that she's doing. This is what she has to do. But ooh wee, he is just done. He is outdone. It's been a rough week for him. First, we had Bad Bunny earlier this week, clearly U.S. citizen, from Puerto Rico. But the whole Spanish speaking situation, just that whole this momentum around this community as a whole globally, having their voices heard, how that impacts him, the thoughts and his approach to people, anybody who is not like him, right? And his oligarchy, the oligarchy, yeah, he's not a happy camper today. But here's where I want to go to the cards, you all. And by the way, let me back up a second in case somebody's just landing here. I am a Fefe with Touch by Tarot and Beyond. Clearly, I'm a tarot reader, and haven't said it in a while. Just it's in my bio. If you're not familiar with me, I'm a former newspaper journalist, so tend to try to keep my readings pretty grounded, and I am an initiated priestess in both Wiccan and African traditions. So that just gives you a feel for my approach and my background. All right. So today we know that Cankles is scheduled for what Caroline Levitt tried to tell us was his routine annual exam. And immediately people lit up social media like, excuse me, didn't he just have one of those in April? And we understand that you came out and, completely like misrepresent perfect health across the board, 5-star, when we're with our own eyes and ears can see drooping mouth, slurred words, dragging the leg, like hardly able to sit up straight without falling asleep, during so many events and meetings. Like, come on. But all right, let's take a look at this new health report. And we know his health is declining. What's interesting is we are hearing increasingly that members of Congress, GOP members of Congress, are, behind closed doors, extremely concerned and having a reckoning. Like, this is happening. This is unfolding. His diminishment is unfolding before our very eyes. And at some point, that's going to have to be addressed, right? It's got to be addressed. We can't continue to pretend, everybody pretending that we don't see what we see. All right. So I'm going to take a look at that spirit, this new exam, and good and well his heart rate, his blood pressure is going to be up today behind that Nobel Peace Prize. We have the Magician that comes at the bottom of the deck, so that's confirming, yes, they're gonna I forget who his doctor is, but they're gonna come out with the typical, he's fine, he's amazing, other than this little vein condition and a couple of swollen ankles here and there, no big deal, nothing to see here. Not true. But let's see. Spirit, Cankle's health, and the progression of his Three of Wands. They're trying to treat him. There will be an adjustment there is a growth. First of all, let me back it up. Three of Wands energy indicates there is a growth in these conditions that we're seeing, in him, right? This deterioration, mental, physical, otherwise, this deterioration. So it's growing. But I also see that as them trying to find other methods to treat his conditions, so that they're trying to just keep him to maintain, keep him at a certain level as much as they can. Two of Wands, because they are looking at needing this guy. Listen, Spirit has said for a while, I've said it on this platform, many other readers have said, when he goes, it all goes. And it may go before then, whether he's around or not. But the fact is, JD Vance is not, JD Vance, Stephen Miller, Marco Rubio, the whole, don't even get started on the whole Pam Bondi, the whole cabinet. Like, nobody can hold it together in terms of offering what would appear to be viable leadership to that base, to the MAGA base. Those who have been, no matter what, they will go down on the ship. They'll do a political Titanic to go down with Cankles. It just is what it is. We'll never understand it. It'll never make sense. Page of Pentacles comes. So this is something new that's developing. Pentacles in his body. When I'm looking at health, Pentacles is a suit, earth, body. That comes to reflect that. Pages are new. So there are, in addition to whatever he's got going on right now, there are new aspects to that are going to come through or are coming through. And the doctors are going to see it, but we have the Empress. That's growth as well. That is something, and also in the body. There's something. And the King of Pentacles, I think that's his doctors trying to cover for him. Spirit, so my second part of that question is, will we see more resistance or more acknowledgement within the GOP ranks as a result of his deteriorating health behind this latest exam? We have the Six of Pentacles. Yes, a little, not wholesale, not where they're all ready to jump ship. They're still extremely afraid of this man, and that's what it is. It's fear. But the Six of Pentacles is give and take. There's the part of the GOP that's ready to really split off, that are very serious about, we've heard, especially behind the shutdown and the heat that they're going to take because of that, and are already taking because of the shutdown. They own this. The American people know that they own this. It doesn't matter how much they try and spin it, toward the Dems. They know this. So there are those who have said they're going to have to, when the Epstein files come out, it's over. It's over and done. You're going to see a real defection in the GOP leadership. And here comes justice. Here comes Mother Justice, okay? Not only that, this also feels like Spirit is saying, because again, all of this is tying to what comes out with his health, that there could be more and more, we're hearing perhaps the 25th Amendment. Some people you've been asking me about another impeachment. Do I see impeachment? I don't know about that. Spirit, are we headed toward? Yes, Seven of Wands. I felt that, but I wanted to confirm with Spirit. That's a challenge. That would have to go so far uphill with a still GOP led Congress, right? With that branch of Congress still being, they've got the numbers. So I don't see impeachment. This really does feel more health related. Like there's something where, and this does go to the 25th Amendment, where if he is unable to fulfill his duties in office, that would happen. Six of Swords, but plans are already in motion, you all. This health report, I'm telling you, Spirit is saying the truth, which we already know. We know the playbook. We know that they're going to come and sell, Caroline is going to get up there and do what Caroline does. Levitt, she's going to get up there and do what she does, which is cover. But there are conversations with those who actually know the status of his health. And now for some reason, I'm getting, Spirit is giving me Melania in the mix. Oof, didn't see that coming. I'll tell you. We know that's not a happy home, right? But she is there increasingly because she's on watch with him. She's on watch with him. And there's something where he wants her. Notice, she's been around him. She's been more visible for a while. Earlier this year, she was in New York, and then she and Barron both. got back to DC, but there's something there where she's keeping a really close, he wants her to keep a really close eye on him, and she's keeping a close eye on him. He feels safety with her, even though there's so much, tension there, and it's a really, she's lying in the bed she made, and there's an Ace of Pentacles. I'm getting a confirmation. If you're with me, when I get my aces, that spirit telling me yes, I'm on the right track. So a lot of this cover up on the public end of it, but on those who know, like Melania, there is extreme concern for how much longer he's going to last. And I know many of you want a hard and fast date, right? And I've had people say, on the comments, like it won't even be until the end of this year. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I'm never going to get on here and fake it with you all. I will tell you that based on what we just saw, there's some sort of growth in an acceleration in the timeline of his diminishment. Okay, that is for sure. Two of Pentacles, and I do feel like that's a timeline, but I don't know what that means. Is that 2 months? The Devil. Something holding him on, or something that they give him, because we saw a moment ago that as a result of today's checkup, they're going to make some adjustments to his treatments, his medications. They are doing everything possible. There could even be some experimental stuff, experimental drugs or whatever going on. We saw recently, even Spirit is reminding me, many of you probably saw, he was apparently talking about, or did a post about, these so-called med beds, where supposedly you can get in this bed and it heals the body in some strange way. There's something chaining him to grasping at anything that will keep him around. And there are people who are urging that, because again, he's the glue. Nobody, once things get to a point, I'm trying to watch my words, because the platform here can be real interesting. Once he gets to that point, Spirit has said repeatedly, J.D. Vance does not hold sway. He doesn't hold sway with the voters, the MAGA base, and he does not hold sway with Congress, with congressional leaders. All right, so bottom line, the world. Ooh, completion. It's coming to an end, you all. And this health situation is going to amp up. And as much as they try and cover it up, try and mislead, disinformation, etc., it will be, something is going to happen, I feel like publicly even, where it'll be on camera, on tape, and undeniable. All right. Now, that said, we know that he's headed to the Middle East, right? To apparently be a part of signing off on this peace agreement. Has committed U.S. troops, because from what we're hearing, a part of what the reason to get Hamas on the hook to commit to it and agree to it was to say that the U.S. would, in fact, essentially be responsible to make sure that Bibi doesn't haul off and go back in there and do something. Now, here's what's interesting. Who is central to all of this besides Steve Witkoff is Jared Kushner, who said from the very beginning of that whole Gaza Strip and its prime location, wanting to do redevelopment there, right, and turn it into some ritzy, vacation paradise. This commitment of troops, I'm wondering, Spirit, is there more to this than meets the eye? And I know many of you are like, duh, there always is, right? But there's a Knight of Pentacles. There are plans in place to make use of that land. And deals being made. King of Cups. I feel like that's Jared. Is part of this plan the redevelopment of Gaza to Cankles' benefit or Cankles' family's benefit? Is this about some sort of monetary benefit to them? And that is why the son, okay, we don't even have to go any further. Thank you. That's what this is, you all. There are deals that were made when Bibi came here, when they were all here for the UN situation, and remember Bibi sat down with Cankles, but once again when that happened, Jared Kushner was in the room. There's only one reason for Jared to participate, right? We already know, and he already said it a while ago. There were plans already there for what that area would look like. King of Pentacles. This is Bibi. Because there's a payoff, somehow there's a payoff for him or his, somehow he benefits from this, whether it's monetary or otherwise. Somehow he benefits from this. And there's the emperor. There it is. They made a deal. That's what I'm getting, you all. Spirit guides are saying that deal, because what was the impetus otherwise? What was the impetus? After 2 years of going full force, refusing to stop that war, what would be the impetus to stop it now? And it's bottom line. There's some sort of payout or some sort of benefit long term. And there's the high priestess, and it's being kept secret. Or they're going to try and keep that part of it secret. And so therefore, again, it was about, from Cankle's perspective, taking the credit. That's what this whole show that they're going to put on to have him take him, for him to go to the Middle East and be a part of the agreement, and everybody, bowing. It's only because of him that any of this is happening. But in the meantime, the plans are being drawn up for that land in that along the Gaza Strip, and the plans will not be simply, and it could even be, Spirit is saying it could even be that there's a multilateral, I hope that's the right term, but that's what I'm getting, sort of a multilateral agreement that it won't just be excuse me, got some incense going in the background, it's kind of strong. It won't just be Cankles and company, Kushner and company that benefit. It won't just be Bibi that benefits, but that it may even be some leaders in the Middle East that are in on the deal as well. So keep your eyes on that. We'll be looking more at that. And the last thing I wanted to look at today is Tish James. None other than we knew the indictment was coming. And so Adam Schiff, get ready. I guess he's already got his lawyers lined up because he's next. They're going down the list. But we also know that Cankles took particular joy in going after Tish James because, we all know the case is in New York. All right. But watching her response, I hope many of you saw it. And if you didn't, please look it up. It's all over the internet. Watching Tish James respond to that, resolute, solid. And she said, bottom line, I was doing my job. I did my job. And because I did my job, now we see what's happening. It's not going anywhere. But here's what I'm wondering. I feel like this is catapulting. There's been some energy around Tish James becoming the U.S. Attorney General. There's been some energy around that for a while, you all. And I feel like I'm going to look at the outcome of this indictment. She's got the best of the best. You got lawyers volunteering. What's his name? Abby Lowell, who, top of the heap. But you've got a lot of lawyers around the country who have just come out and said anything she needs, I'm in. They're going to help her. She will have the best of the best and the brightest. Can't say the same for the U.S.'s side of things, where this woman has, had to bring in people. She's going around trying to bring in and recruit people to help her because she's never tried a case in her life. Anyway, it's so mixed matched. I can't say the word, but you all get my drift. It's so the scales are so, talk about scales of justice, right? The scales are so tilted in terms of really top notch attorneys and just this sort of ragtag group of folk who are willing to take on this case, keeping in mind that so much turnover in the DOJ because reputable and strong attorneys are like, we're not doing it. There's not enough evidence here to bring these indictments on against the people that are on Cankles list, right? And therefore Pam Bondi's list. There's not enough evidence to do it. It doesn't hold up. It's not solid. And they're like, why did we let that stop us? So, Tish James spirit. What is the outcome of this indictment against Tish James? The Hermit. So they're gonna get into the details of it, and when they do, Ace of Wands. She wins. Bottom line, she wins because they will see based on the evidence that there's no there. And does this happen sooner rather than later, or does it just languish? Does it languish just to give her a headache? Ten of Wands, it languishes a while just to give her a headache. Time, expense, she still has to function as New York Attorney General, right? So it just gets in her way. It's another thing. Ten of Wands can be a very oppressive, one more thing added to her plate. So the idea is just to weigh her down, to try to embarrass her, but she was anything but. If you saw that video of her, and then she quoted, we know she is a woman of faith, Christian faith, and she quoted the Bible and said, "No weapon formed against Isaiah, no weapon formed against me shall prosper." Right? So that actually, when she did that, you all, I was wondering, and Spirit has been saying this for a while. Because so much of this, this MAGA base consider themselves to be true, genuine, God-fearing Christians, there's an interesting dynamic there when you have somebody who is supposedly, across enemy lines, but they're speaking your language. How do you reconcile that? How does MAGA, she got up there and she spoke that language. She quoted that scripture. She is a woman of faith. And she said she's not moved. Like if he's expecting her to lose sleep and cower, never gonna happen. And didn't I just pull justice? Okay? Tish James is fine, as is the Comey case, as is all of these indictments on this persecution tour that he's on, or retribution tour that he's on. There's nothing there. But it really is about putting people through the time and expense and giving them that added stress. All right. Now I want to take a look and see, I just feel like this is going to catapult her career. While it was meant to diminish it in somehow or mar her record in some way, I'm getting that quite the opposite could be true. And the fact that anyone who goes in on the Democratic side right now, it just seems like, a lot could happen between now and 2028. But it seems like Gavin Newsom pretty much has it on lock. If he doesn't make any missteps, there's a lot of time between now and 2028. But certainly he is emerging as the front runner. I could see a Gavin Newsom making that call. 100%. I could see Gavin Newsom making that call and tagging Tish James for the Attorney General spot. Spirit, will Tish James become Attorney General of the United States of America? Will she? We have the Hangman, so that's like, okay, FFA, don't get too ahead of yourself. But consideration. But consideration for it. And Nine of Wands. A lot of work to be done between now and then. But will she? Would she? No, I don't even have to ask that. Of course she would. Of course she would accept it. But will she? Will things go in her favor to put her in that direction? Eight of Wands. Yes. Eight of Wands is movement. Eight of Wands is the wind beneath her wings. It is what she says as well, her ability to communicate. People are not only going to, meaning people, meaning America at large, no matter what their affiliation is, they watch her demeanor. It is not abrasive. It is simply with conviction. It is with conviction. And there's something about that provokes admiration and respect, even if it is grudging, you know? All right. And the Queen of Cups. Yeah. That, I feel like that's her. That's her taking care of the people and continuing to do her job and refusing to be bowed. I think this, at the very least, what I'm getting from this reading, you all, is her her standing. Page of Cups, her standing, and there's an Eight of Swords there. Just that people, that refers to the concerns for her safety in catapulting her to that that national stance. That she would have to be really ready to take that on. But here we go, Page of Cups. She just came up as the Queen of Cups. So going with the flow, ready to take it on, feeling passionate, feeling convicted in her spirit about whether she would be ready to take her career to that next level. Absolutely no question about it. And the Nine of Swords. So here's the deal. The one thing that Spirit is saying, and why I think there's a little caution here, is remember, when the tables turn, and they will, there's going to be a lot of talk about the Dems doing exactly what this, another version perhaps of what this administration has done. So the idea of, so everybody you tagged, we're going to put in and now tag you, right? So there's going to be a consciousness around not appearing to be vindictive, not when the Dems take back, and they will. There's going to be a concerted effort not to appear that, okay, we're going to do exactly what you did, but now from our turntable, from our from our side. That's what this is about. The consideration around any cabinet appointments, not just attorney general, that's going to be taken into consideration as well. All right, you all. I hope that was helpful. I hope it, gave you something to think about, and certainly relish that. Let's just Nobel Peace Prize all day long. Just sit in that. Going to Ms. Machado out of Venezuela. Wow. All right. Have a good one. I am going to be traveling this weekend, so normally I come on for you all on Sundays. Not quite sure what time I'm going to get back, so you may not see me until Monday, but I'll definitely check back in with you real soon. Stay safe out there. Chin up. You know how we do. Chin up. Stand resolute. Ooh, that speech Tish James gave, that warrior spirit in her, that sense of conviction, that sense of, it wasn't even about fighting. It was just about knowing. It was about knowing who she is, knowing what she stands for, knowing who she serves in terms of the people and also in terms of a higher power. Woo, woo, woo. All right. Shoulders back. All right. And keep coming from your heart. Check in with your heart. Check in with your heart. Check in to keep your nervous system together. Check in for one another. All right. And I'll talk to you real soon.